Who controls the British crown? Who keeps the metric system down? We do. We do.
Who leaves Atlantis off the maps?
Who keeps the Martians under wraps? We do. We do. Who holds back the electric car? Who makes E. Gutenberg a czar? We do. We do. Who robs Kingfish of their sight?
Who rigged every Oscar night?
We do. We do.
Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Rizo2612, and today this is my second fan commentary on Disney vs. Marvel Villains War. This time I'll be talking about Round 2, the round that kicks off some of the background battles. And, yep. And by the way, thanks for responding to my questions on my last commentary, GAvillain. I really highly appreciate it. And when you told me about that you're not sure about that you would consider doing any homemade submissions for me because you don't have any of the animated Marvel cartoon footage that you needed to do so, that's alright, because what I was kind of thinking of doing was I could possibly send you the episodes of 3 animated Marvel shows that I have, and those are Spectacular Spider-Man, Spider-Man the Animated Series, and Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Those are basically the only Marvel shows and cartoon that I have. So, yep. Like if you reply to if you think that sounds like a good idea, let me know and that kind of thing, and yep. So without further ado, let's just try and do this commentary. So the first fight of the round is the Evil Queen versus Electro. Pretty good idea to have the Evil Queen get started off in her old hag disguise, mainly because I think it actually fits well with the fight, and plus the footage combining with the lightning bolts in her death scene and Electro's powers actually works very well and all that stuff, to make it look like Electro just killed her instantly and all that, like as if they're both in one scene together or something like that, which is pure genius if I do say so myself, and that's why it's one of my favorite fights of the round. Here's another one of my favorite fights of the round. Amora the Enchantress versus Maleficent. Why I like this fight, it's because the Enchantress is one of my most favorite female Marvel villains of all time, and Maleficent is one of the fewer favorites of mine of Disney villains, even though I kind of like Captain Hook, Scar, and Jafar a bit more than her, but it's fine at least. So yeah, I like the idea of how these two are like rivalry opponents wise. So yeah, and I like the use of the green color filter to match well with this fight, to be honest. So yeah. And we have the Executioner saving the Enchantress. And here's another favorite of mine, the Shocker versus Sykes. Why it's my favorite? Because I like the idea of how you have Kingpin being the mastermind behind this fight, and he was the one that hires Shocker to dispose of Sykes before Sykes becomes a threat to his empire, which actually makes sense, because I love the idea, personally, of how Kingpin hires Shocker to do his dirty work for him and all. And considering that both of them are my most favorite Spider-Man the Animated Series villains of all time. And yeah. And I also wanted to ask you something, GAvillain, personally. Um, have you ever seen Netflix's spin-off series of Daredevil with um, Kingpin as one of the main characters in it? I would highly recommend you to see it if you hadn't. So, yeah. Anyway, here we have is the Red Skull versus the Queen of Hearts, which this fight is a lot more better than Red Skull versus Scar in my opinion. Mainly because, um, to be honest, I thought to myself that this match is a lot more better and all, because to me, the way how I see Red Skull versus Scar fight, it was a bit short and yeah. And I like the use of how you had the footage of the Queen of Hearts from Disney Villain's Revenge, which I think is actually a smart idea. But yeah. And here is Scar and Zira versus the Windigo. Like the idea of these two starting to form their own faction. By the way, what show is the Windigo from? Because something tells me that they are likely from X-Men Evolutions or something. I don't really know, but they could likely be, but something tells me that they are from X-Men Evolution or something. I'm not that sure. Not familiar with them at all. Because the Windigo, just like Atuma, they're like one of the fewer Marvel villains to me that are not really well known or something like that. So yeah. An awesome fight in my opinion. Next is Damona from Gargoyles versus the Brotherhood, I think. The Brotherhood or something, I'm not sure. I think they're just mainly called the Brotherhood. Should have looked at the description before doing the commentary on it. Pretty good fight and everything. And I'm assuming that's supposed to be Avalanche's first introduction. Like, first appearance, so to speak. Good to see Mystique in this. Even though she didn't do very lot in this particular fight, but oh well. Here is the last fight to the round, Jafar versus Nicholas Scratch. Never familiar with Nicholas Scratch. I can barely assume from one of your older commentaries from before that he's from Avengers United They Stand. I think, to be honest, Nicholas Scratch is like an underrated villain, to be honest. So it's kind of like a good thing that you had a well-known character kill off an unknown, like a not very well-known character. In other words, like that. And the footage matches together really well. Really impressed with how well the fight turns out. By combining both Aladdin and the Return of Jafar films, footages for Jafar's fight in this one. And Nicholas Scratch is like, oh shit, I shouldn't screw up with Jafar and all that, so yeah. And Jafar defeats him by burying him alive, I suppose, but I guess that's the only way how he was defeated in the show. Anyway, here's a really good epilogue piece with Hades meeting up with Avalanche, based off of Kingdom Hearts. To be honest, I'm a bit familiar with Kingdom Hearts because of it's one of the like well-known video game series, I think. And yeah, and I'll have to give credit to every single Villains Tournament for introducing me to the Kingdom Hearts franchise, especially Disney vs. Marvel villains. So yeah, and we have Electro abandoning Red Skull, and he just moves on because he doesn't care about Red Skull. And there's the Chameleon who, to be honest, I was honestly thinking to myself, what was the Chameleon's actual role throughout this series? I mean, yeah, he did take several forms of different other characters, but that's what I like because it makes you think that he's just mainly a background character and he won't be doing any fighting. But until later on, it's revealed to be that he did a bit of fighting, but as somebody else and all that stuff, which I really like. Anyway, here we have Jafar recruiting Captain Hook for his master, who we will find out in the next round. I would have imagined Captain Hook having a fight against a Marvel villain, like a member of the Sinister Six or something, either Kraven the Hunter or Mysterio from Spectacular Spider-Man, to be honest. I have no idea why I thought that would be a good idea, but oh well. And here we have Doctor Doom taking over Hydra Island and claiming it for himself. But yeah, Baron Strucker gets defeated and all. And Amora, the Enchantress, informs Loki about the next step of their plan, which is awesome. So yeah, but I really enjoyed this round, and I hope that we get to see more action out of some characters in the future. So yep. And like I said before, GAvillain, if you feel confident for me to send you over the episodes of Spectacular Spider-Man, Spider-Man the Animated Series, and Avengers of Mightiest Heroes, that would be great. And yeah. And speaking of which, if you're wondering, am I planning for a voice acting scene? Yes, I am. But it's going to be taking place, as far as I remember in my head, round 6 for the Free For All Heroes vs. Villains War Tournament. And when I complete what I need to do for the series, I'll let you know and all that stuff. Um, by the way, I wanted to ask you something about do you know like any female voice actresses like Jessie Demi, for example, that could do the voice of some all of the female characters for me in my series in the Free For All Heroes vs. Villains War Tournament? Because to be honest, ever since I first heard her doing a lot of good voice acting in other tournaments, mainly well known in this one, Disney vs. Marvel Villains and Heroes vs. Villains, to be honest. Um, I really absolutely enjoy her voice acting because I like how she's trying to make the characters almost be trying to match the same personality that they have in the original show or film. Like for example, when she did a good job of voicing Maleficent in Disney Heroes vs. Villains, I honestly felt like she should be a voice actress for Maleficent in the future in another Kingdom Hearts game, to be honest. But that's just my opinion, really. But I think she does a really good job, and I wouldn't mind if she would do the voices for the female characters for me. So yeah. Anyway, this is Rizo2612, and have a fantastic day.